Good morning. My name is Dan Blondell. I am the CEO and founder of Nano One Materials. This is our first time marketing in Hong Kong, and it's a great pleasure to be here. I've been to Hong Kong many times for personal reasons and other reasons, but it's really exciting to be here. So, very briefly, Nano One Materials is a process technology company. We're focused on lithium iron cathode materials for lithium-ion batteries. I'm the CEO, and our chairman Anthony Tse is also here. Actually, he's here wearing a number of different hats. Chairman of other companies as well. Many of you will know him. He lives and is based here in Hong Kong as well. We are a Canadian company with R&D facilities located in Burnaby, just outside of Vancouver on the west coast, and we have a commercialization hub and an 80,000 square foot manufacturing facility just outside of Montreal on the south shore of Montreal. That facility was acquired from Johnson Matthey Battery Materials a couple years ago, and is the only lithium iron phosphate producing facility outside of Asia today. We reconfigured that facility with our technology, and it's currently operating as a demonstration facility, aiming to be kind of first production of LFP in North America with our technology, which I'll explain in greater detail. We are a TSX listed company under the ticker NANO, and as I said, focused on cathode materials. The cathode is the most expensive component in a lithium-ion battery, and that's because of the raw material inputs. It has things like lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt, iron, phosphorus. There's a whole bunch of different flavors of lithium-ion battery cathode materials. We've made them all with our one-pot process. But our main focus is on the iron-rich materials at the top of the pie charts there. So lithium, iron, which is Fe, and phosphorus are combined into an active material that actually does the energy storage in a lithium-ion battery. It's the most durable, lowest cost, and safest of all the cathode materials. And the latest battery designs specifically out of China have energy densities that compete with the nickel and manganese-rich materials. And as a result, it has become the industry-dominant cathode flavor and battery flavor because it serves the mass market electric vehicle market. It serves the data center, AI, defense, and various other industrial applications. To give you a sense of the market size today, these are Bloomberg numbers out into the middle of the 2035 decade. Is about 6 terawatt hours of battery capacity. This is all chemistries. Lithium iron phosphate would be about 50%, about half that. All of the other chemistries, which are nickel, manganese, cobalt-based materials, comprise about anywhere from between 1 to 5% of the market share. But LFP itself has a 20x economy of scale here. About 2 terawatt hours of that will exist outside of China. That's about a $40 billion a year market. So to give you a sense of what 6 terawatt hours is, that's enough to energize about 100 million electric vehicles, or power my country, Canada, with electricity for about 4 days, just to give you a sense of the scale. We are, as a Canadian company, of course, one of our primary target markets is the U.S., where about 200 gigawatt hours of LFP battery capacity has been announced. With the tax credits that are available in the U.S., that amounts to about $7 billion in tax credits for those 200 gigawatt hours of plants. But they will be basically disqualified from those tax credits if their raw material inputs come from any prohibited foreign entities, which at this stage in the U.S. Means China. So tremendous opportunity to build out those supply chains in North America, but also a big, heavy amount of work to lift. To give you a sense of how the supply chain works, of course, minerals like lithium, nickel, manganese, cobalt, iron, phosphorus, they're mined where they're mined in the world. Sometimes they're refined close by, but a lot of the refining actually happens in China. Most of the world's lithium is refined in China into carbonate and hydroxide. But really, where the bottleneck is at the cathode materials, and that's where lithium, iron, and phosphorus, or lithium, nickel, manganese, and cobalt come together to make an active material. China controls 98% of the world's LFP. and it comes from, this is often a surprise to many people, it comes from the access to iron. Iron in China, used for LFP, comes from iron sulfate tailings that come from titanium mining. Those tailings are very unique to China. It isn't made that titanium isn't really refined in the same way as it is in China when you look at the rest of the world. So they're sitting on iron sulfate tailings that are anywhere from 100 to 1,000 times more volume than anywhere else in the world. And it's access to those tailings that really allow them to make really, really low cost lithium iron phosphate. China has industrialized that process. That process was developed in Canada, actually by the same team that now work for Nano One, so we understand it very well. But was very well suited to the Chinese supply chain and access to iron, and it's that control that really presents a very interesting bottleneck. And it's led to a lot of the trade tensions that we see right now. It's led to China's restrictions on access to LFP batteries, LFP cathode technology, equipment, processing know-how, and IP, and obviously has led to the tensions we see in the U.S. with the prohibited foreign entities and many of the pledges that are coming out of other nations in the G7. So what is Nano One? What do we do that makes us different from the conventional process in China? What you see on the bottom row there is the conventional process of mining, refining. There's the iron sulfate access that China has. That creates a whole bunch of waste stream when you create the precursor part of the supply chain. That waste stream, it can be absorbed in China, but it's very hard to scale anywhere else in the world. And ultimately, lithium is added to make the final cathode material. What we do at Nano One, in the top row, we actually integrate the precursor and the cathode process into one. That drives down the capital expenses, the operating expenses, the energy intensity. And we're able to also eliminate the sulfate intermediates, and that eliminates the wastewater. So we have zero wastewater, zero byproduct in the process, which enables us to modularize the plant design, and enables us to put it kind of anywhere we want. It doesn't need to be close to tidewater. We have no discharge. It doesn't need to be close to an industrial center where we have to absorb byproduct. So it gives us a considerably more flexibility and permitting ability. A little bit of history. LFP was invented in Texas, but it was first commercialized in Quebec by the team, as I said earlier, that works for us. But that know-how and that really industrial process left Quebec in the early 2000s, went to China, and became what is a very, very large industrialized process in China today. We acquired the facility in Quebec in a couple of years ago from Johnson Matthey. We went in there, we decommissioned all the wastewater management and recommissioned it as a one-pot process. In doing so, we brought Rio Tinto in as a capital partner, about 5% of our capital stack. Sumitomo Metal Mining, a similar investment into Nano around the same time, and we brought on Worley Engineering as an alliance partner to co-develop the modular plants. We brought in support from the Canadian government, from the Quebec government, and from the Pentagon through the Department of Defense, all in the aim of building out a supply chain that's localized, resilient, long-lasting, and ultimately can serve various parts of the industry that not only include the electric vehicle market, but much smaller applications in defense and energy storage. What you see down in the bottom row there, that's the modular plant design that we have with Worley. We're actively developing, co-marketing, and co-licensing that strategy into jurisdictions around the world, and really is our long-term revenue strategy. The bottom part of the revenue you see there is what we'll be able to generate out of that small plant we have in Quebec. It can serve the defense industry, but it's really the modularization, licensing, joint venture plants that creates the revenue stream for the technology part of our company, and that's largely stacking a royalty that you see coming on top of each other. Ultimately, it will lead to some kind of joint ventures. Kind of takes us to the end of the presentation. These are the catalysts. I've spoken about most of the green ones here, more or less, but coming into the end of 2020 and into 2026, you can expect to see more news about capacity expansion, licensing, LFP sales, the development of our supply chain with partners like Rio Tinto and others, as really part of building a holistic ecosystem that can support a diversified supply chain in North America, Europe, and the Asia Pacific region. So I thank you very much for your attention. I'll leave it on this slide here, as this is really just a summary of what I talked about. Thank you very much. I'm at table 24. Feel free to come by and have a chat. Thanks.